estimated family contribution of between $5,700 and $12,000 in estimate that still show need, that we would look at $605. That is an option that would distribute approximately just a little bit more than $4 million, and would leave us about $470,000 for an grant process. For those students who, regardless of their EFC, can show that they may have need, we would have an application process. You may remember last spring, we opened that process window closed in just 2 to 3 days because of the number of applications that we had. We were able to toward the vast majority of people in applications during that time period. We did dip a little bit into our institutional award for the CARES Act to make sure that we could meet the applications that had come in. The second option would just be to divide it again, $1,000 for Pell eligible grad and undergrad students, and then $500 for the non-Pell, but still having that EFC. Again, about $4 million and leaving about $470,000 for emergency grants. Craig, if you'd like to come in real quickly and try to supplement what I've presented, or correct, correct if need be.
Yeah, you're right on point. I shut my camera off. I apologize. My camera flutters when folks are sharing their screen, but thanks for inviting us to this meeting. We, as a couple of these options, at least the first two options listed here, it's specifically tied to students who do the FAFSA, which is the free application for student aid. So this EFC, or it stands for Expected Family Contribution, that's a number that is calculated by the FAFSA application and sent to the university that allows us to determine how much financial aid and what types of financial aid a student can receive. And so students who qualify for the federal Pell Grant would be considered students who have the most financial need. And just one point I want to make, when it comes to the word need or financial need, what we mean by that is we put together what's called a cost of attendance every year. That includes your tuition, your fees, your books, a certain amount for room and board or living on or off campus, and other miscellaneous expenses. And so we take that cost of attendance, and then we take the EFC from your FAFSA application, track that from the cost of attendance. And if that's a positive number, that means you have financial need, according to us, a financial aid office. So if your cost of attendance is $20,000 and you have an EFC from the FAFSA of $5,000, then that means you have $15,000 of financial need when it comes to determining your financial aid eligibility. But as Mr. Straka had presented, some students receive the federal Pell Grant, others might not qualify, particularly if they're a graduate student, but still have financial need determined by the FAFSA application.
One point I think I'd like to share in the award of this aid. Last year, the Act required that we send it directly to students, regardless of whether they had any institutional charges or not. We did send all that aid out directly to students. This year, it does allow, the Act does allow us an opt-in option that if students have outstanding charges, they may tell us that it's okay for us to apply those, like we generally do, apply them to the institutional charges. And then if there's money left over, then we would write an overage check or put to direct deposit. So that is something that we're still working out the details of how we would collect that opt-in to allow those charges. We do need to know whether there is an opt-in or not in order to put in, there's actually separate award that would tell the system to apply the aid to institutional charges or to send the entire amount of the aid directly to the student. So that's just a couple of details as we get down the line, but we just wanted to put out there and bring to you students a couple of options of what we're proposing of how we would distribute $4.5 million in student aid we received under the SRSA Act. We would hope that we could get this aid out by the end of the semester. We'll stand for questions right now.
Are there any questions?
So, seeing these things, you mentioned Pell eligible EFC under option 2 with undergrad, graduate students are not traditionally eligible for Pell Grant, right?
Correct.
So is that just using the numbers that determine the Pell Grant for the graduate students to see where they end up, or?
Yes, that's a great question. Just to clarify that there's an EFC range to qualify for federal Pell Grant. So we're just calling that range the Pell eligible, whether you're actually eligible for it or not. So that range would actually be anywhere from $0 up to $5,711.
And then option 1, I'm assuming then that you'd actually have to get the Pell Grant to get the $1,000 student award then, right?
Yes, that means that you actually received at least $1 or more of a federal grant dispersed and applied to your university charges for the spring semester.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Good question.
Senator Hawk.
So I was just wondering, are students who are international students who will be eligible for these grants, or will it be only the local students who will have FAFSA?
And Craig, you can follow up with this, but the eligibility for these grants have been tied to eligibility for certain federal programs, which unfortunately is not going to mean right now. It means that international students and undocumented students would likely not be eligible for these funds, which would be similar to the situation last spring. We are awaiting final determination from the Department of Ed, but at this point in time, that seems to be the guidance that we're receiving.
That's right.
Craig, is that correct?
Yep, so far they're still stating that international students and undocumented students or deferred action students are not eligible for this funding.
Senator Stiff.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I missed it, because I see option 3, so I didn't know if we'd already went over that yet.
Let me try to get that on and show that. This was, we did just calculate what would be across the board. This calculation really became before the guidance that we got that said we need to point the aid directed towards the most needy students. So I would say, even though we calculated it and showed it here, it would be my belief that doesn't comply with the guidance we've gotten to try to put the aid to the most needy students.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll be passing this President Trenny tomorrow at the student government meeting confer as well. And we'll be following up. We do need to, we'll take this back to cabinet. We'll take into consideration student consultation on which of these first 2 options we might look at. Again, take it to cabinet, then we'll need to get approval from the Min-State system in order to implement this process. Included in something we're going to have to do is a letter from student about our consultation process about how to distribute the aid. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and present today. We hope to get this aid out to our students as quickly as we can. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
thank you.
wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
Next on our agenda, we're going to be moving on to our next presentation, which is student events team. So let's see, who do we have here for student events team? I see Bill. Is Nicole here?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. You have the floor.
All right. So, hey guys, my name is Nicole Osborne. I am the student events team president. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our board elections that are happening right now. As you guys probably know, our organization runs lots of the big engaging events on campus, like the haunted takeover. We just had tubing at Mount Cato, things like that. In order to make these events happen, we have a board. So we have 12 board members that are each responsible for different things. We have a president, and next year we'll have a vice president, actually. That's going to be something new. We also have a business manager, marketing and social media and public relations chairs, which are great opportunities for those who like to kind of work behind the scenes, I guess, and like more of numbers and figuring out how to promote things, things of that nature. In addition to that, we have 7 event programming chairs, and they're all responsible for different kinds of events and things like that. Those are great positions for people who like to be creative and bring their idea to life. All of the positions are great ways to gain skills in leadership, delegation, and budget management, and there's a bunch more. So if you guys know anyone who might be interested in taking part in any of the event planning process, whether it's coming up with the events or kind of the behind the scenes marketing kind of thing, please encourage them to apply. All of the chair descriptions are on the students team page, which is on the MSU website, and I believe Bill shared it. And that's the spot where you can find the application as well. It's a super simple application. Yeah, so if you guys or anyone you know has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email, which is just my name, nicole.osborne@mnsu.edu. And I would be more than happy to help.
Awesome. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, Sina, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks.
So moving right along on our agenda, I'm going to move on to the Student Allocations Committee staff recommended budget. I believe Senator Wickman will be leading that presentation. Is that correct?
Good afternoon,
Okay.
everyone.
You have
Could
the
I
floor.
request co-hosting ability, please, so I could share my screen?
You should have it.
Oh, wonderful. Just a moment here then. All right. Awesome. Well, all right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Zachary Wickman. I am one of the senators on the student government, and I am also one of the co-chairmen of the Student Allocations Committee. My fellow co-chairman is Ochuko Rega. He's not able to be here with us today, but to fill in his place is fellow Senator Catherine Nelson. She will be speaking today as well. So the Student Allocations Committee is comprised of 6 members this semester, 3 senators, myself, Kat Nelson, and Zahara Osman. We're responsible for hearing and making recommendations regarding RSO program and travel fund requests throughout the year. We are also responsible for hearing and making recommendations for student activity fee funded programs during the fiscal year budget process. We've spent the last 2 months working with these budgets, from hearing departments present to us to deliberating over the course of an entire day. So the goals the Student Allocations Committee had this semester was to support the departments in their future goals, was to maintain or lower the current student fee, to cut out unnecessary spending during this time of COVID-19 to ease the financial burden on students, and to closely follow the Student Allocations Committee guidelines for spending. Here's an example of the layout that you'll see on just about every slide to follow. I'll explain this real quick for those of you that have never seen this before. Fiscal year 21 base, that number is what they were allocated for this current fiscal year. The fiscal year 22 request is what they requested for the upcoming fiscal year. And then the SAC recommends is our recommendation based on their request for the upcoming year. So fiscal year 2022, which we will be talking about, runs from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. The overall budget impact here, as you can see, the fiscal year 21 allocated budget funding was 2.738 million. This year we received requests totaling 2.74 million, which was an increase of just under 0.5%. Our final recommendation is for 2.697 million, which is a difference of about minus 1.5% from what was allocated last year. Now we will be going into the individual programming departments, their requests here. So starting off with Campus Rec.
So for Campus Rec, for fiscal year 1, their base was 571,326. They requested an increase of about $5,000, and we recommended giving them the same amount as their fiscal year 21 base. The request, you guys can read that, but it could be counterbalanced just by saving from other areas of their budget, maybe cutting a little bit in different areas. And due to the pandemic environment and related restrictions, SAC doesn't support the requested increase that they presented to us.
For intramural recreation sports clubs, allocated $25,000 for the current fiscal year. They requested $25,000 for the upcoming one, and we recommend allocating $22,000. Same reasoning as the campus recreation. We don't believe that recreation and sports on campus will return to pre-pandemic levels come next year, hence the minor decrease.
For Maverick Adventures, they've come to present to Senate a few times. Their 21 base was 159,530. They requested an increase of $765, which we agree with granting to them.
They also had a request, Maverick Adventures did, for trip and travel. In the current fiscal year, they were given $19,810. They requested $21,134, and we recommend allocating $20,000, which is an increase of $190.
For Campus Rec equipment, in 21 they got $20,000. They requested $20,000 again. We're recommending $10,000, which is half of the budget they asked for. Based on our goal of maintaining or reducing the student activity, funding the full request isn't vital to the student experience because of the environment of the pandemic. And equipment use over the last year has drastically decreased, so the funding wasn't seen as necessary.
Forensics, which is also known as speech and debate, they were given $11,000 last year. They asked for $11,000 this year, and we recommend giving them $11,000. The Student Allocations Committee would like to acknowledge that this has been one of the programs on campus that's hit hardest by the pandemic. Therefore, the committee recommends maintaining level of funding to ensure operation.
Gender and sexuality programs in 21 was given $55,000. They requested the same flat rate, and we recommended giving it to them. They've been very fiscally responsible with their requests, and their programming has still excelled even through the pandemic.
On to the green transportation fee, otherwise known as the busing fee. Last year, they were allocated $346,555. This year, they requested $303,000, and we agree with giving them their request.
For the International Activities Center in 21, they were given $50,242. They requested $62,050. We recommended just under that at $60,000. A minor increase in funding would be appropriate. However, other avenues available for the Activities Center. A large portion of their budget is allocated to the large-scale events and speakers that they host on campus. And going along with the pandemic, we don't think that that'll be able to return completely normal during fiscal year 22, so we don't believe that the full funding increase is necessary.
The multicultural student activities, they were allocated $48,500 last year. They requested the same amount. The Student Allocations Committee recommends allocating them $47,000. Kind of the same as the last one, a lot of large scale events, speakers and food, just things that we don't believe are gonna be full bore come the fall semester. So we didn't see it necessary to allocate the full funding.
For the Maverick Food Pantry, they're a new program, so they weren't part of the fiscal year 21 presentations, but they requested 15,000, and we're recommending giving them their full requested budget.
The music ensembles, they were given $72,150 last year, or this current fiscal year. Request for the upcoming fiscal year is $72,150, and we recommend allocating the $72,150.
For non-budgeted request fund, they requested 35,000. They requested it again this year, and we're recommending giving them their full requested budget.
This is mostly the trip and travel money that Student Allocations Committee works with throughout the semester that we're able to allocate to students for trip and travel. On to repertory dance. Their base allocation for this year was $5,000. They requested $5,000 for the upcoming year, and we recommend giving them $5,000. We believe that the repertory dance appropriately used their budget allocation in the past years, so therefore we saw no reason for a change.
For the Reporter, which is the on-campus newspaper, in fiscal year 21, they got just over $66,000. As you can see, their requested amount for 22 is significantly higher than that. We recommended giving them $95,000, which is under what they requested. But we think that they should be exploring alternative methods of media delivery outside of printing the newspaper. And we believe that the full funding increase is not necessary.
And then on to the Reporter Equipment R&R Fund. They requested $4,000. The committee recommends allocating $0 of the $4,000 requested. Last year, the Reporter was granted a one-time allocation of $4,000 to their R&R fund. Student Allocations Committee believes since this was one-time funding was granted last year, it's not necessary to fund this year. And then also based on our philosophy of attempting to reduce the maintain or student activities fee, we didn't view this as necessary to fund.
For the Business Service Office, in fiscal year 21, they got $282,315. Their requested amount in fiscal year 21 was under that, and we recommend giving, that's supposed to be fiscal year 22, I think. We're recommending giving them their full requested budget, which would still be under their base budget for 21.
And then the Student Activities Administration Office, in fiscal year 21, they were given $575,792. This year they requested $585,776, and we recommend allocating that. The Student Allocations Committee believes that the increased budget allocation is necessary for the cost associated with moving RSO management platforms from the current Engage platform to the new platform of Presence.
For community engagement, their base, their requested, and our recommendation is consistent at $9,797. The programming that community engagement offers is great, especially while maintaining a flat budget request.
Fraternity and sorority life, they were given $15,000 for this current fiscal year. They requested the same amount for the upcoming fiscal year, and we recommend giving them their requested amount. We saw no reason for changes in the budget allocation.
For homecoming, their fiscal year 21 base was $51,750. They requested the same for fiscal year 2022. and we recommend giving their full recommendation.
Recognized Student Organizations was given $3,900 this year. They requested the same $3,900, and we recommend allocating that $3,900 as we saw no reason for a change in the budget allocation.
For Leadership and Leadership U, as you can see, flat rate across the board, we recommend giving them their requested amount of $7,400.
Student Resource Center, in fiscal year 21, they were given $2,000. They requested that same $2,000 for this current fiscal year, and we recommend giving them that.
For Student Events Team, their fiscal 21 base was $115,220. They requested the same amount for fiscal year 22. We recommend giving them $110,000, which would be a decrease of $5,220. Again, due to the COVID pandemic, it'll likely still be affecting the university as well as the events that can go on. And we believe that the decrease was appropriate due to a large portion of the budget that goes to large scale events and travel.
Student Government, current year, they were given $106,538. They requested $113,259, and we recommend allocating that for an increase of $6,721. The recommendation is to cover fringe benefits, student help, and coordinator pay.
For theater, their fiscal 21 base was $68,000. They requested $82,000. We recommend giving them their full requested amount. Last year was the first year the department saw an allocation decrease, which would have hindered them in their operations if we weren't during COVID. And SAC found it appropriate to return the budget allocation to the previous level.
Veterans Resource Programming, they received $3,000 this current fiscal year. They requested $6,000, and we recommend allocating $5,000, which would be an increase of $2,000. We realized that it's less than was requested, but we still feel that it was a substantial increase in what their current allocation was. We believe that the programming the Veterans Center puts on is beneficial for many students on campus, and underfunding in years past has resulted in out-of-pocket spending to cover the cost of programming. And programming has been limited due to budget allocation restraints. That's all for the individual programs and departments. You can see here a breakdown of the overall student fee, which would be $8.88 this semester, for a decrease of about 2/3%, leaving us with projected uncommitted student allocation funds of just under $500,000, being $497,444.35. And that is our presentation. If you have questions, my email's right there, my co-chairman's email's right there. Feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor up for questions. Before I start taking questions, I just want to remind all senators that this is not a discussion period. I'm sure that this stirred up a lot of feelings and opinions, so let's make sure that we're staying on task with our questions. Starting off with President Trenny.
I have 3 of them, if that's okay. Well, there are 2.
You can start with one at a time.
Okay, start with one. If you can go to the reporter slide.
Yeah, just a moment here.
Well, actually, it relates to the staff administration line item as well. The decrease you guys made to the staff administration line item, does that go on? Or are you guys just decreasing that? It's number 22, I think. Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
I believe that had to do with pay of employees on campus was moving around to another fund, I believe, or another way of paying them.
Oh, yeah, that was this question.
Okay, moving on to Senator Novak.
I also have 2 things, but I'll start start with one. I would just like a little bit more clarification about the campus rec slide, because I noticed that that fund was cut in half. Be able to give an idea of how that might affect how they're able to operate.
Yeah, so for the rec, what they do is they request this $20,000 for the R&R fund yearly, and they save it up so they can eventually spend it all at once, something big. They aren't necessarily using this money specifically for anything this year. With that being said, just due to the pandemic environment and less use of the equipment this last year on campus, we felt that the full funding just wasn't necessary in this area.
Circling back to President Trenny.
Yes, can you go to the reporter line item as well?
Yes.
So my question, and Max is here, but he covered it earlier this semester. Over the past 4 or 5 years, they've overspent because they're not getting enough money. Do you foresee the recommendation you're giving them that they will still, in the next couple of years, still be overspending?
We don't feel that. They moved around some of the their employee salary and benefits to other areas of campus for funding. So that won't necessarily be affecting their budget in future years. They have ran a little bit of a deficit over the last few years, unfortunately. So that's why we felt that this increase was necessary, because they do need some help, but we felt the full increase wasn't.
Can I clarify a question, Madam
Yes.
Chair? Is the 52,000 item, that's the moving around, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Senator Novak.
So my section is related to our travel budget, which was set to stay stagnant at 35,000. I know over the time that I served on SAC this year, we did not have that many travel requests. How much of that funding was actually tapped into, and do you think that the 35,000 will be necessary next year if next year turns out to be at least half COVID?
Correct. Yeah. We only ended up using, I think this year it was like 34,000, or we still have 34,000, like $600, I think, left. We only ended up allocating a few hundred of it to one travel request for an online registration fee. With that being said, the majority of the money then will be returned. So that would be our plan in the future, or for next fiscal year, if travel doesn't return to previous levels that it has.
Thank you. I have President Trenny.
Last question I have, it's related to the students event team.
Yes, let me go down to their slide here. Yeah.
So if you could talk a little bit about, so I'm not understanding the SAC narrative about it. I know this year, because of the pandemic, their larger events have costed more. So I don't know, like, is that 5,500, whatever you're cutting, is that going to stop them from programming next year when their costs of contracts are going to only increase?
Yeah, very good question. We really looked over their line item budgeting a lot with this one. Looking through it, we felt that the printing, copying, and advertising could be lowered to compensate. Also, money from large-scale events could be moved to compensate for that decrease. Also, they had a larger amount of money budgeted for travel this year than in years past. With the pandemic environment, we didn't feel that they would end up spending all of that money, so we felt that they could grab from there if they needed some extra.
Thank you.
Yes.
That exhausts my speakers list. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Senator Wickman and Senator Nelson, for coming and speaking to us today. Wonderful. Okay, we are going to go ahead and move along in our agenda, and that now takes us to open forum. Is there anyone here for open forum? I see John.
Madam Speaker, if I can real quick, to speak about what's going over the next few weeks with that budget. So given what happened today with this presentation. So this was the first big step in the student activity fee budget cycle for directly. SAC committee has spent several weeks on this, so thanks to them for that work. What happens next, folks, is this budget presentation or this budget recommendation is going to formally go out to all of those funded departments via email tomorrow morning from Teresa Schwartz, who is the business manager and co-advisor to the Student Allocations Committee. So there are two things that can happen, really, or three things, I guess. So, those funded departments that see those recommendations can come, appeal recommendations. So there's a department who feels that they ask for more than what was recommended by the Student Allocations Committee. They will notify Teresa of their plan to appeal. And Teresa is going to send that list of appealing departments to Speaker Sversel, and she'll end up scheduling them to appear at that budget hearing on the 24th of March. So that's thing number one that can happen. Thing number two that can happen is they're going to look at their budget and they're going to go, okay, sounds good to me. And they're going to be fine with it and they won't appeal. And I think all is good. Thing number three that can happen is you as student government have the ability to ask those folks if you have more questions for them that you can't get the answer to by at their budget request, which you're going to also have access to in that Teams folder that we talked a couple weeks ago. If you have questions or are thinking about tinkering with their budget or anything like that, or the recommendation, if you're thinking about changing the recommendation that's put forth, you would be well served, or you would actually be doing a very cool thing for those departments by asking them to appear at your meeting on the 24th. Okay, and here's why you would want to do that. If they're okay with the recommendation, they're not appealing, you'll have the list of those who are appealing. But if they're not appealing, they're going to think things are okay. But if you're looking at it going, I have more questions about this, or I think I want to move those numbers around or something like that, you want to let them know and give them that heads up that you're thinking that, or that you've got questions. So in that Teams folder that we shared a couple weeks ago, you'll notice that there's a document for questions for those fee-funded departments. You can fill in those questions and we'll get those out to those departments for you, so that if we can responses, we'll be able to do that and share it with you in an effective manner. So yes, what our request is if it's a fee-funded department that you want to have come to the meeting on the 24th, you need to let Speaker Sversel know that Thursday morning, the 18th. So the morning after your next Senate meeting is your deadline to let people know you want to have them appear before you questions or anything like that. So if you're looking at other things for their budget. And part of the reason is that Teresa will help reach out to those people. And she needs to do that by that Friday afternoon. So in order for speakers first to communicate that list to Teresa with schedule, we need you to get that to her by Thursday, the 18th that morning. Okay, so that's kind of the request. So don't be afraid to ask questions outside of this meeting amongst yourselves as senators, to go to the departments and ask if you've got questions about what they're doing. That's great. That's a great use of your time before that meeting so that you can be well informed. I've told you all along since we started talking about this budget process, your biggest duty is to those meetings prepared. Okay, your biggest duty is to come prepared and informed. So ask questions if there's any clarification. Ask myself. I'm sure members of the SAC committee would be happy to answer questions as well. Those documents that presentation that Zach just shared with you is not yet in the Teams folder, but it will be shortly so that you can access it and see those numbers again. But again, ask questions, be informed, and come prepared. And so that will help the flow of that meeting and also help the relationship with those departments. So ask questions, don't be afraid to do that. So
wonderful, thank you. Next up, I have Martin G. Caruso.
All right. Hi, Senators. I wanted to come before you and just talk a little bit about our newest series that we've been doing, Maverick Adventures, our Mankato Adventure Speaker Series. We had our first night last Wednesday, and it was a really big success. We had a lot of people log on to view it, and we had a really great presentation by Kevin Langton. He's a local ultra runner and author of the book Superior. Our next event is coming up next Wednesday night, same time, 7 p.m., and it will be on Facebook Live as well. I realize this is during spring break, but we are hoping that people will tune in virtually from wherever they may be. But this coming, we'll be hearing from Daniel Lee. He's an alum of MSU, and in 2017, he paddled the Mississippi from source to sea, all on a stand-up paddleboard over 55 days. So anyway, we hope you'll join us for that. And our photography competition is still ongoing, and we've got about 2 weeks left for students to submit photos for that. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me at martin.jackcaruso@mnsu.edu, or you can email the Maverick Adventures program at adventure@mnsu.edu. Thanks again.
Thank you. Next, I have Natalie Shute.
Close. Natalie Schutte.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Natalie Schutte, and I work in Health Services Office, specifically in health education. I'm doing some COVID-19 case management right now. And currently, I'm working on coordinating the mass testing event that we are hoping everybody will come to on March 22nd, Monday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the CSU Ballroom. It's very similar to what you may have experienced in the fall if you went to that. It's the saliva testing, and then we send it in to Voltel, and then you get your results online within 24 to 48 hours. I am currently looking for volunteers to help with that event. You don't need any medical experience or any medical background. Really, we need about 15 people each hour to help wipe down tables, help direct people to make sure that we have a lot of congestion in doorways and answer any questions that may come up. It's fairly easy, and you can get a nice t-shirt if you want, and you can spend the day with me. So it should be fun. Would it work if I put my name and email in the chat?
Yes,
box?
that would be great. Could you also put the event and the day of the testing and then the time, so senators have that for reference?
Yep, I can do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And senators, if you volunteer for that event and put that as office hour, it will totally count. So just one more incentive. Okay, wonderful. Is there anybody else here for open forum? Anyone for open forum? Anyone for open forum? Anyone? Okay, then we are going to go ahead and move on. We have nothing on the approval of the consent agenda today, so we are going to skip that and move to officer reports. President Trenny, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have dates, so get ready. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I also have some things from senators that I'll need information for and their opinion on as we get towards the end of the year. So the first one is you may have seen right now, we posted on social media, our immigration attorneys are March 18th, right? March 18th, yes. From 5 to 6 for an hour-long lecture / Q&A session on immigration law. And then from 6:15 to 9, they'll be doing 20-minute consultations. So it's good to get your constituents to know about it. If they have immigration questions, it's free to them. The university won't know about it, so it's a totally privacy and everything like that. And they can currently right now schedule that through our office as well, just not just at this event. So you can see that on social media. Please share that as well. That's a great event to be at. The other one is during spring break on Friday of spring break. First, hopefully everyone enjoys spring break. But Students United is having a Senate, and that's on March 12th, 12:30 to 1:30. And the topic or focus of this meeting will be on international students. So how as we as Mankato can work with other students to better and support our international student population. So again, I can get that Zoom link to everyone, and I'll probably send it that Friday as well. But that also will count. All these should count as hours, so please do that as well. Tomorrow afternoon, we've our meet and confer with President Downpour and his cabinet. That's 11:30 to 1. We'll see what Vice President Straka talks about today. We're going to hear more budget stuff from the university because obviously they're going to have to cut somewhere. So they're going to be going into that hopefully tomorrow, along with some other stuff as well. And if you're curious, please let me know. Message me on Zoom right now. know, and I can forward that stuff to you for the Zoom link for tomorrow afternoon. Let's see, March, again, as John said, the budget meeting is March 24th. Amber will be finishing the absence note for each one of you. So you'll get this note if you have class, because our meeting will be starting at 3 instead of 4, and we'll go until we finish, which could be like 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So that'll be at 3 p.m. March 24th, and no meeting next week. I don't know if speaker's going to mention. April 20th. So the other thing is our last Senate meeting will be April 21st. Typically in normal years, that is only an hour-long meeting. We just have one last meeting to hear senator reports and anything like that. And that usually, again, is an hour. This year, we're going to have a 2-hour meeting like normal. And then the inauguration that we normally have at 5 on that day, the last meeting, that will be the day after on Thursday. I think at 5, 4 or 5, just because the ballroom is more free, and it'll be in person with a hybrid component, and that's when we'll give out the scholarship awards. We'll do Administrator of the Year, Teacher of the Year, and Staff Member of the Year, along with outgoing speeches and incoming speeches. And then if you do run for next year and you do get elected, you'll have to go to that and swear in as well. So you'll get, and everyone here is encouraged to be invited as well. And the thing I'll need from everyone else is we're currently planning our banquet at the end of the year. We're trying to do something because last year at one of our meetings, we just stayed on Zoom and it was fun. We had a fun time after Zoom, but we want to do something. Current tentative dates for our banquet is April 28th, which is a Tuesday, I believe, April 29th, or April 27th. I think that 27th, 29th on April, week before final week. They'll be in the afternoon, obviously, but we're just going to try to see people's availability. If they're more free on that Tuesday, we'll do it that Tuesday. If they're more free that Wednesday or Thursday, we'll do it then. But I'll probably email out, or people can just let me know to get your feedback on that. And again, so at that banquet, we usually invite administrators. We just have fun reflecting back. We give out Coordinator of the Year and Senator of the Year awards. You get plaques for that. And then each one of you will also get your own award. In fact, like if I can show mine, I have mine when I was a senator. I got Mark Constantine's BFF award. So they're fun awards. So it's a really fun time, and we do have fun. So stay tuned for that. So I will email out, and we will get, we can do trivia as well. But I will email that out and get feedback. So please respond to that as well. And if you, we'll also have hybrid for that as well, just because it's COVID. And I think that's everything from me. I yield for any questions.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for President Trump? Any questions? Any questions? Oh, Senator Stiff.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, can you please like email out all of these? That was a lot.
Oh, and did I mention the town halls? I forgot. Yes,
You did not.
No, okay,
No.
Yeah. I have a whole sheet of paper. Sorry, let me go back real quick. I have one other question. So Joey, he messaged me. He said, "Don't need it," but could we do it Wednesday during the usual time we do Senate? No, because the new Senate will meet at 4. So the new Senate, the incoming Senate, will meet one time, and that will probably make it. It'll probably be an hour meeting because they'll just select their speaker, but we don't know with COVID and everything happening. It could be 2-hour meeting, it could be an hour. So it could be like after that time, which should be fine, but we'll just get everyone to know for the banquet and stuff like that. And then the one thing I forgot to mention is we're doing town halls. We're waiting until after so the Wednesday after spring break to do them. The idea is we want to talk to our constituents or the whole student body about the fees. So that's like IT fee, CSU stuff we've heard, and just other general concerns they're having. We wanted to know all the fee presentations before we went to the student body and said, hey, these are what your fees look like. This is what your tuition's looking like. This is what your parking's looking like. This is what your room board's looking like. So we have scheduled right now for town halls, March 18th, 12 to 1, March 22nd, 12 to 1, and March 23rd, 5 to 6. Again, we encourage senators to come to not ask questions, but to hear your constituents asking those questions and giving their thoughts. The idea is to hear what they're thinking. In a COVID time when only 30 people are deciding student fees, we need to open that up more broadly and show that impact that, if people really don't want an increase in a certain area, or they may want an increase or something like that, which I don't know if they would, but we want to know that. And I think it's just responsible in general for us to get feedback. So though we had enough times on there just so we could hear out from everybody, and different groups as well. So we don't just have them every day of the week at the same time. And they'll all be on Zoom. And again, I will send this all in one email because we set the times today, for example. So yeah, I yield for any questions.
I think there's another one from Senator Khan.
Yes, I wanted to ask for the 20 minutes consultation sessions with the immigration law attorney. Are we supposed to sign up for those, or is it like whoever is there in person would be doing that?
John, do they have to sign up?
Yes, because of the limited number of spaces available. If you want to guarantee a 20-minute consultation, yeah, they'll need to be signed up in advance. So we just confirmed all of this stuff today. So the press release is not yet out. It's still being approved by executive leadership. So Amber's not taking the appointments just yet. Wait until that information goes out and is publicly shared with everybody. So you'll get a thumbs up when that's ready.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. And President Trenny, there's a question from Senator Ruiz. When is trivia? Did you mention that?
We'll probably do something in addition to the banquet. The banquet's usually probably an hour. So we'll probably do something as well to make it like a little and fun. So we'll plan that out a little bit for the banquet.
Perfect. Are there any other questions? Any other questions?
We will have an RSVP form for not only the inauguration for contract tracing if you come in person, but also the banquet. So we just know how many people are coming, dietary restrictions, and then again for contact tracing. So I yield.
Awesome. Just seeing no other questions, I'm going to move on to Vice President Multari.
Hello everyone. My computer just decided to update itself last minute, so I'm here on my phone. I just have a few updates. President Trenny mentioned most of it. So city and university meeting was on last Thursday. It was it was just 2 more colleges, and we discussed about what's going on in other campuses. People seem to be excited to get back on campus in person, which is pretty cool. And I think our campus students getting back to, I feel really good to see people around. Another update I have is Goal Area 7 is moving forward. So they're working on a long-term goal to get it accomplished until May. And they're trying to figure out the proper terminology and then vote on it. So we're still working on the terms and the proper definitions of the words in the document. And that is another update I have. Another thing I had was Students United had legislative meetings, and me, President Trenny, and some other senators met with some legislators around the from Minnesota State Capitol. And yeah, we acted on federal level for the students, which was pretty good. And I think it really went well. Other than this, all the dates President Trenny mentioned, he's going to send out in an email. And yes, for town hall, please spread the word. We would really need some student input, and we really want people to know about what we're doing and what needs to be done. So with that, I yield.
Wonderful. Any questions for Vice President Multari? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, on to mine. Yes, I just have a few things. Just wanted to reemphasize that we don't have a meeting next week. It's spring break, so we won't be on Zoom. The only other thing is that office hours are due this Friday. Make sure you get them in, and then you don't have to worry about it. We'll take that week off and then start them again after spring break. So it'll switch off our weeks that you turned it in a little bit, but I will remind you. And the last thing is our Dean of the Day. I have is Dr. Veltzos. Dr. Veltzos, do you want to speak a little bit?
I am here, but I'm actually not the Dean of the Day again. I believe today is Dr. Har.
Okay, Dr. Har, my list must be wrong.
You keep me honest every time you call on me.
So Dr. Har, if you would like to take it away.
Sure. thanks for the opportunity to join your meeting. And I just would want to say on behalf of all the deans, we really do hope you have a great spring break. We too are hoping for a little reprieve from Zoom for a week.
Excellent. John, I'm going to have to check my list on who I have today because it has not been accurate lately. But so with that, I yield. Are there any questions for me? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we are going to hear from you guys with senator reports, starting off with Senator Stiff.
Hey y'all, so just to update everybody on what my project was, I was working with like off-campus housing managers kind of just to get some correspondence on how we can improve like the living situation for people at different complexes. So I of course started off with Summit, and I have still been corresponding with the general office manager here basically. And while we're still discussing like ways that we can, and different initiatives that we can do for students, I haven't got anything finalized yet, but we are still discussing it. So there's an update with that. And then I've still been kind of coordinating the student affairs committee. I just want to say I'm still super proud of everybody in my committee. We have had great discussion this year, and everybody has really been participating a lot. So basically within student affairs, we've just been discussing university initiatives, discussing how to support each other on projects and collaborate, and just basically having a good time discussing other things that come up whenever they do. So that will conclude my updates, I think.
Wonderful. Any questions for Senator Stiff? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. And next up is Senator Bigg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gretchen, if you don't know me, and I am the chair of the College of Allied Health and Nursing. Recently, I've just been working on connecting with Dean Chris about returning to class in the fall, and then going from there. We all know everyone has Zoom fatigue, and trying to do better with more flex sync classes, but really trying to be proactive about what that looks like and how I can better advocate for students on that issue. You know me, I love the budget season, so prepping for that, looking at all of the presentations, and then just as a reminder for the College of Allied Health and Nursing that our Health and Biomedical Sciences Summit, I think that's the title, is March 24th, I believe. So attend that. There's a great keynote speaker. So yeah, that's really all I have. I yield.
Thank you. Any questions for Senator Bigg? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. And next up, I have Senator Gustafson.
Hey guys, my name is Brandon, for all that don't know me. I'm the senator for the College of Allied Health and Nursing. My senator project was teaming up with Senator Wickman and getting a fraternity and sorority monument on campus somewhere. This semester has been kind of hectic for me, so I haven't been as on top of it as I'd hoped to. But looking out into the future, over spring break and here afterwards, I will be contacting Greek advisors from other campuses, seeing how they went about getting monuments that they have on their campus and where they got their funding from, and the nitty-gritty kind of stuff fit out. But yeah, that's about it. I yield.
Wonderful. Any questions for Senator Gustafson? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, thank you, Senator. Next, I have Senator Olbera.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rediet. For the ones that doesn't know me, I am the Social and Behavioral Sciences Senator. So for today, my report is going to be a little bit short. And the project I'm currently working on is about the advising center for our college. The advising center in our department is great, but I believe we can make it better. So for this, I have created a survey for the students and advisors so that we can know what should be improved. So I'm going to send the survey to our dean to be reviewed and approved, and then I will send it to the students and advisors. And I'm also still working on the project I started last semester, which was to implement advertisement and encouragement about internships in our college. So I'm planning on contacting the president of the psychology club and work on how we can advertise internships for students within the club. And with that, I yield.
Wonderful. Any questions for Senator Albera? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Senator. Next up, we have Senator Novak.
Howdy, comrades. I've got 3 things for y'all today. The primary project I've been working on was establishing an LGBT learning community on campus here, which I've been working with Senator Osmond, Senator Mecklenburg, and former Senator Swaincut to accomplish. We conducted a survey to try to see how many people would be interested in that and to kind of get an idea of who might potentially be involved in that sort of thing. Came back with fairly positive responses that there would be a student interest for this. So we went ahead with contacting a similar learning community at another college in Moorhead. They're called the Rainbow Dragon Learning Community. Got tips on how to proceed from there and how they're kind of like running the show over there, which we then took to start forming a formal to admin. However, we cannot present that request until October. So right now that project is kind of on hold. And in the meantime, I have another thing because I am also the RHA vice president. And while within RHA, some reps brought up concerns about the guest policy. So I worked to conduct another survey of students living in the residential halls and found that 70% of the people that I pulled from, which were community reps from RHA, wished for a change to the guest policy, at which point I got together a smaller focus. Specifically, we wanted to see changed. Seemed like the big thing was the overnight policy. So I have begun talking with Cindy about that. And Cindy is seeking advice from health officials. And then from the advice that those health officials give, we will decide whether or not to proceed and how to proceed if we proceed. And the third thing is that I've also been working with Senator Ruiz and some other individuals in the Basic Needs Committee. We are working on establishing a basic needs hub for different things that people would need, be that counseling, housing, food, all sorts of basic needs. And with that group, with Karen Anderson and Tim, who runs the Veterans Center, we recently took a trip to the food shelf, checked that out firsthand. It is going wonderful over there. Everything is running smoothly. And also, in addition to that, kind of outside of the Basic Needs Committee, worked with NRA to get a ton of food to drop off there. So that's what I have been up to, if anyone has questions about that.
Wonderful. Any questions for Senator Novak? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. That does conclude our Senator reports for the day. We do have one vacancy that I'd like to announce for a residential life spot. Let me look at the calendar. Let's see. That means that that spot would be open for election on the 17th. So those applications would need to be in by the 16th at noon so that I can send them out to you guys. So yeah. And then next, we have no new business, we have no old business. So we're gonna move right into announcements. President Trenny.
It's more of a question for you, and maybe for the Senate. Should we even have an election? Is my question. I don't know anyone's thoughts on that.
Are you looking to have a discussion period on this, or what are you looking to do here?
Sure. Can I give a rational why?
It's not really what announcements are used for, but I guess in the chat, if people wanted to give feedback on that, that would work. So it seems like the concern is over the timeline between getting someone elected and sworn in before budget season, but yeah, so maybe President Trenny, that would be to include in your email and get feedback from there. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other announcements? Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Okay, seeing none, we are just going to move right into roll call then. So, Senator Biggs.
Present.
Senator Gustafson. Senator Gustafson. Senator Abdi. Senator Abdi. Senator Gabbard.
Here.
Senator Vondra.
Here.
Senator Alimo.
Here.
Senator Mendonça.
Here.
Senator Parte.
Here.
Senator Salim.
Present.
Senator Nemo.
Here.
Senator Hawk. Senator Hawk. Senator Khan.
Here.
Senator Pham.
Present.
Senator Elsani.
Here.
Senator Alwera.
Here.
Senator Osman.
Here.
Senator Stiff.
Here.
Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Sweeney. Senator Sweeney. Senator Wickman.
Here.
Senator Ruiz. Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Obasi. Senator Obasi. Okay. Senator Thomas.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Senator Bejarano.
Here.
Senator Flynn.
Here.
Senator Hopwood.
Here.
Senator Novak.
Howdy.
Senator Mecklenburg.
Here.
President Trenny.
Here.
Vice President Altari.
Here.
And myself. Wonderful. So with that, we are going to officially conclude today's meeting at 5:13 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy your spring break.
Sorry. I'm here, but I couldn't, my internet wasn't working and my headphone didn't really work.
Okay.
So I couldn't give it as a present. I'm sorry. I opened it up right now. I realize it now.
Perfect. Thank you.